My name is Martin and welcome to another great edition of MP Astro. And as you remember from my last video, I did some manual guiding on this setup here, using conventional mount like the EQ5 and manually tracking the night sky, taking astro photos. And to be honest with you, it was quite an experience. If you've not seen that video, please check it out from the top. Okay, I have done this video based on manual guiding. There is hardly any information regarding it. It's quite an old technique that was used many years ago. And to be honest with you, please check that video out. It really is quite a good video, and I've put a lot of work and effort into that video. So check it out from the top. And if you're interested in manual guiding, try it out yourself. It really is something totally different. Now, in this video, I had a few people that watched my last video, and one or two of them suggested to help me out, saying, why don't you do this alternative method to help you in your manual guiding? The whole purpose of manual guiding was for me to totally move away from computer controlled technology, AI, smart telescopes, automate. Everything is automated in a way. Your mounts, your cameras, everything is automated. And don't get me wrong, computers are a good thing that helps us, assist us, makes things easier, particularly if you want to take astro photos. And a lot of products now are based around computer technology. It's just unbelievable. You know, everything has gone digital. AI, again, I'm not a big fan of it, but to be honest with you, that's taking over a lot of things, and I think it's a bad thing, to be honest with you. But that is my opinion. However, there was one or two viewers that suggested an idea, is why don't you do this solution? So I've been doing a lot of research, looking around on the internet, and finding out another possible solution. And I come across this product, and at the moment it is quite an old product that's been out for some years, and I'm going to try this product out. So before we start, please hit the like button, don't forget to subscribe if you're new to this channel, and don't forget to hype this video. Again, hyping that video will beat the algorithm, it will push my video out a little bit more. I do put a lot of hard work into my videos. Yes, they are quite long. I know some people don't like long videos, but I do a lot of research and I spend a lot of time making these videos for the content that you really want. You know, real astrophotography, astronomy, you name it, and that's what you want. So don't forget to hype this video. Also, share this video out. Again, this might help someone else in the process, particularly if they wanted to undertake this project themselves. And also don't forget to scroll up, select all by hitting that bell, and I'll keep you notified for any new videos I publish out very soon. So if you want to find out more about this product that I've got, please keep watching and let's do this. So then everyone, I'm going to show you what I got, and to be honest with you, I'm really excited about this product. So as we can see, what I'm going to show you is I've got a dual motor drive kit for the EQ5 mount. Now, this is very overlooked. A lot of people tend to go for mounts with GoTo drives, but this one in particular is just a normal, conventional motor drive kit. Right, no bells or whistles. All right, as you can see in this box, this is from Skywatcher, priced at £149. It's a dual system, and the thing about this kit is that you can power it off with just a 6-volt battery. Right, so low voltage, and it's just a normal tracking mount drive kit. As you see in this box, it's labelled as EQ4. It's obviously a mistake from Skywatcher. This is a Skywatcher brand, and you can get this motor drive kit from First Light Optics, Rover Valley Optics, Widescreen Centre, and I think 365 Astronomy also sell this product. Now, as you can see, we'll take a closer look inside the box. I've just got it, I've not opened it, and as we can see, it's well packaged and you can see in here what you get with this motor drive kit. You got instructions to fit the motor drive, you've got the instructions how to install your motor drive kit. I will show you in this video, and as you can see, Skywatcher have definitely improved on the manuals this time, so I'll take you through that. And this one in particular, the reason why I got this motor drive kit, there are several motor drive kits you can buy that are good budget ones. However, this one that I got in particular has a very important feature on it, and this is the control box. Now this is the enhanced version of the dual motor drive, and the reasons why I got this is, if I open this part here, I will show you. If you take a closer look, obviously it's got your deck and your RA axis motor positions. It's got different speeds. Alright, I'll take you through that. But there's one thing I do like, is at the bottom here it's got the function for an auto guider. Now this motor drive kit can be powered off using your SIN guider or your next guider, which is what I've shown you many years ago. It's a standalone guiding system, and this kit enables you to attach your next guide or SIN guider standalone system on there, so you can do auto guiding. So as you can see there, the box itself is well packaged. Quite impressed. I will take all this out so you can see what it all contains. So for £149, it's actually a bargain, to say the least. It's a basic dual motor drive system. You know, you don't need no apps, you don't need a computer, and that's the thing what I like about these conventional type motor drives. I will take you through fitting this, and we'll get to test it out, how it performs. Alright, £149, as you can see there, it is well packaged. I can't wait to test it out. So this is what you get out of the box, and I'm going to briefly tell you what each components are. So what you should have is, you should have a deck motor, a DC motor here, with the mounting screw for that. You also have two of these gear type clutch drive systems, alright? So you get two of those, alright, they're both identical. You should get the RA axis motor drive, alright, with the mounting bolt as well. 3 Allen screws, or Allen keys, that you should get. These are tools that you need to use to fit your motor drive. You will have RJ11 connector cables, 2 of them, okay. The main control box itself, and then you get a 6-volt battery box with the power cable installed in there, and obviously the batteries don't come included with this set, so you have to buy I think it's D cell or C cell batteries. So yeah, you should have a battery box where you can connect 4 C cell or D cell batteries. This has a 2.1mm jack plug, alright, so you can connect it to your control box. So this will be your main power. This does not draw out a lot of power, believe it or not. This only draws out requirements of 6 volts, and you need to move the motors with at least 400 milliamps of DC power. Okay, so it's not a lot of power to use this complete dual drive system. And that's basically your budget style setup, as you can see there. So the first step to install your dual motor drives, first thing you want to do is have the mount tilted at 50 degrees using these screws. So you tighten up these screws to get you around 50 degrees latitude. Now with that latitude, the reasons for this is that grab yourself a cross point screwdriver and loosen the tiny screw at the bottom, like so. It's a tiny screw, but you unscrew it, keep hold of the screw, do not dispose of it. And with that, you can then slide the cover for the RA axis, like that. Okay, simple as that. Then you remove your slow motion controls, if you've got any. It just pops out straight away. And remove the deck axis slow motion controls. Now, as you can see here, I have put the mount with the latitude down to 20 degrees. Now obviously on this mount I can't go any lower, so I can only go at 25 degrees, but that's absolutely fine. So basically slacken these screws, tighten that one up, slacken that one up, and the whole mount should just tilt down to the nearest as 20 degrees as possible. As you can see, we can take a closer look. You'll see the RA axis shaft, and there you'll see a flat end. You then grab yourself one of the gear clutches, okay, doesn't matter which one, they're all the same. Get your 2mm Allen key, and then you line up, obviously make sure that the nut is wound out. You slide where the flat piece is along, okay, like that, get it in line. It goes a certain way, but ideally you want that Allen key, the nut or the Allen screw, to be in line with the flat piece. Okay, so you line that up like so, and then you grab your 2mm hex bit, or obviously you don't have much room, so you're going to have to screw it in there. It will go in. Obviously we're not going to over tighten this just yet, because it'll come apparent later. So we just nipped it up for time being on the RA axis. So that's that gear and clutch system installed. Okay, so now you've got that gear and clutch installed, you then get your RA axis motor drive, and the one where you can tell is it's got a square sort of bracket. Now with this motor drive, it slots into this recess here. So what you do is make sure that the terminal is pointing down and the flat piece slots into that space there. So you slot it in there and it should be nice and snug like that. As you can see, here's a closer look of that recess. You'll see the hole here, okay? This is where the bolt, the longer bolt that goes through to attach the RA axis motor drive. So we're going to position this motor drive and you'll see how it fits, okay? Obviously you can't see it, but you'll see where that fits, okay? It fits there, nice and snug. Okay, so make sure it's in that flat piece there. You'll notice that this gear is sort of misaligned here, okay? So we will adjust that gear wheel for the clutch side, alright, once we get this fitted first. So what you do first is hold this RA axis motor drive by hand, making sure that this motor drive is in that recess, okay, so it's nice and snug. So hold it in position. So as you can see, I've removed the jacking bolt on the latitude, okay, remove that. I then get my RA axis motor drive, put it into that recess I was talking about. You then get the longer bolt, the metric 5 bolts, with your 4mm Allen key, and then you feed it into the hole. Now if you can't see it, you just wiggle the bolt until it protrudes out from the other side. Once you're in there in place, you then screw in the bolt. Get it tight, but not too tight, alright? Just get it nipped up like so, like that. Okay? That is now the RA axis motor drive in place. As you can see here, I come across a bit of a problem here. Now, also I've taken off the clutch, but if I show you what I mean, is when I insert the clutch in the gear, you see that motor drive it's engaged, it's meshed in okay, but I've noticed that motor drive there, the gears aren't properly aligned. So as you can see here, I mean that will probably track, but I don't want the gears to be, I want this motor drive here on the RA axis to be aligned. So as you can see here, there are 2 screws that hold that gear on the RA axis motor. So what we'll do is you use a 1.5 millimeter hex bit to slacken the 2 screws from one at the bottom. Obviously you can't see it, but there's one at the bottom and then there's one there. I don't know why Skywatcher provide 2mm, but this doesn't fit these screws, okay, for some sort of reason. It fits the deck axis, it fits the clutch gear, which is fine, but doesn't fit those. So I don't know why Skywatcher have done that. Really it should have been 2mm, so you got the 2mm bit to do it. So with that I slacken these off. Now you'll see this gear here, I don't want this gear to be too close to the body. If we take a closer look, you see the closer look here, you want a bit of a gap on the clutch. You don't want it rubbing along this surface. So you want a bit of a gap there, okay? Give yourself a 2mm gap at least, okay? What I'll then do is tighten up this gear first, making sure it's on the flat. Okay, I just nip it up. Okay, so that's tightened up along the flat. I slacken these screws off, one at the top, one at the bottom, and I move this. You'll find that the gear will move up and down, so just bear with me. Using the 1.5mm hex bit. You can see now, I'm getting closer now and lining that up. Right, that is the most I can get out of that for some sort of reason. So up to about here, it's more or less in the middle. Okay, so it's not like that. As you can see, there's a bit of a step. I've got it more or less in the middle. So with that, I use the 1.5mm and I tighten up the first screw first. Okay, that was nipped up, and then the bottom one. Okay, so that is now fixed. The gear is more or less in line with the clutch gear. We'll just do a final tighten up on the clutch gear itself, like so. So that's now secure. I've now got a bit of a gap. You can see that gap there. We don't want that gap to be, so we don't want this gear to be rubbing on this main body here of the worm drive mounting. So that is as much as I can get that lined up. It's not perfect, but it's better than it was. Now, if you've got a motor drive and you can't get access to these screws, do not turn this gear wheel on the motor drive by hand. If you are struggling, connect the controller and the ST4 lead and power it up through the hand controller to move that gear. Okay? So I'll explain it how you connect it later on in the video, but that's the way you rotate this motor. This will probably be the same with the deck axis motor drive. So whatever you do, if you're trying to line up these holes or you're trying to slacken these holes, don't try and force turn it by hand with that electric motor. Use the hand controller, power it up, and use the controls to move that that gear wheel round, okay? Never force that by hand. If you force it by hand, you're going to damage the electric motor. So now we have moved the latitude back to 50 degrees or more, okay, using those bolts to jack it up, okay, and with that in that position, we can now place the cover, slide it into the recess like so. Again, you have to move the RA axis, in a certain way so it will slide in. Okay, just bear with me. There we go. So we slide it back in. Get your tiny screw. Then, using a crosspoint screwdriver, screw that back into the box like so. Okay, not super tight, just make sure it's secure and not going anywhere. Now if you position that cover properly, as you can see there, just check that your clutch and your gear wheel has a 2mm gap. Okay, so it's not catching on the cover, as you see there. We've got a bit of a gap. I don't know if you can see it, if the camera will focus. But there's a gap. Alright, so make sure when you install the cover, make sure there's nothing that gear can be rubbing on this cover. Alright, because that will affect your tracking. So make sure there is a gap in there on that gear, right, with a 2mm, it should be a 2mm gap in there. Right, once that's installed correctly, you should be good to go. So we have the deck axis now, and as you can see, we've lined up the flat piece there. See the flat piece. Again, same detail. Get one of your clutch drives, okay? Where the Allen key is set, you line it up to that along that flat, like so, and then use your 2mm Allen key to tighten up that drive. Okay, just nip it up because we're going to realign that. Okay, so that is installed. You then get your deck motor and you line it up along this bracket here. This will go underneath like so. You then get the Allen bolt, which is shorter, using a 5mm hex bit, and you line that up to tighten up the bracket onto the deck motor axis drive, like so. Just nip it up like so, not over tight, just nipped up, just enough so it's not wobbling about and it's all over the place. As you can see now, we've tightened up these screws on the gear wheel on the motor drive. Just nip them up just enough so there's no free play. Okay, they're nice and tight. You can now see the clutch gear wheel and the electric motor drive gear wheel is in line as it should be, like that. With that lined up, we just tighten up this screw. Alright, just nip it up, don't over tighten it, you strip the thread, and making sure that once you tighten that, the deck motor should still be in line with the clutch gear, like so. As you can see there, that gap there's a bit of a gap. As long as that clutch gear wheel is not rubbing on this part here. Alright, so make sure you've got a gap, and that drive should be free to rotate. So that is all fitted and the gears are aligned. Now I just want to highlight this, how this clutch system works, okay? Now what this motor drive is designed to do is you can use electric motor, and with that clutch system you can then use your slow motion controls. But please be aware, if you're ever going to be using the slow motion controls, you must switch off the electric motor drive controller, okay? Switch that off, and then if you want to use slow motion controls, get your slow motion control. You can either fit it on this side or you can fit it on the other side, alright? Doesn't really matter where you want. You then install it, like always, into the clutch wheel, like so. Alright, now how this system works, this part here is if you tighten that one up, like so. So if you tighten it righty-tighty, okay, in a clockwise direction, alright, righty-tighty, like so, okay, that is the drive engaged. Under any circumstances, please do not operate your slow motion control, your hand up slow motion control, while the electric motor is in drive and it's turning. Because if you do that, you'll damage the drive system. So, to enable us to use the hand control, you slacken lefty-loosey, like so, so that clutch is now free. As I'm operating the hand control, you'll see now I can rotate the deck axis, like so. With that in the clutch position, I'm not damaging the electric motor. So it's a very easy system how that works. Alright, but you can use the slow motion controls, not a problem. Okay, it's that easy. With that, if you want to use the hand controller, you tighten up the clutch, righty-tighty, and with that in drive now, I switch on the controller and then that's me tracking. Do not use the slow motion controls, alright, whilst you're using the electric motor. It is the same certain situation with the RA axis as well. The RA axis motor drive also works the same principle, but I'm not going to cover that because it's basically the same mechanism. That's how it works. So if you want to use slow motion controls, slacken that off, and then you can use the slow motion controls. If you want to use the motor drive, tighten that up, like so. That is now in drive, and then switch on the controller, and then there you go. It's that simple. So we have the RA axis motor drive. As you can see here, you've got the cable connector for the ST4 lead. You then grab your ST4 lead, like so, and it goes one way, and you just slot that in there until it clicks. That is the RA axis motor drive cable connected. Now, as you can see, we're going to connect the deck motor axis with the ST4 lead. But before I do that, there's something I need to highlight to you, everyone. On these ST leads, right, you see one is smaller and one is thicker, right? So obviously when I connected the RA axis, I've done it wrong. So there's two different type of connections. So make sure that you use the bigger end, this one that's got 6 pins, than the one with 4 pins. You connect that onto the motor. So use the big end, like so, and it clicks in there. That's the correct way to do it. Also, I had to take it from the RA axis motor. So that's something I need to highlight to you, everyone, is make sure you put the bigger end into the motor. So I thought I'd highlight that. So now you have the ST4 leads correctly installed this time. Obviously my mistake was the RA axis, so I've now put the big end in there properly. I was very lucky I haven't damaged the pins on the connection, so that's a good thing. So with that, we grab our controller. Alright, this is the controller, and if you tilt it to one side you see the RA and the deck. Okay, so we're going to connect the RA axis first. See there, the RA axis, then you connect that, the smaller end, into the RA. You then grab the ST4 lead for the deck, like so, and you connect that to the deck side. Again, fits one way, use small end, connect it up like so. That is now both electric motors correctly installed. It doesn't matter if you swap these in between, it's just that you'll just reverse your controls. So just make sure you get the RA axis aligned with the RA port and the deck axis aligned to the deck port. Okay, so that is the control box installed. So I've got my power pack, I've installed the batteries. Okay, 4 of those batteries go in there. Right, for your power, for your DC power. You then grab that power box, put it to one side. There's the power box lead, and it simply just connects to this port here, like so, and that installs the power for your electric motor. Okay, and that's how that installed. We switch it on to the northern hemisphere, and our drive motor is activated. Now, if you don't want to use the standard power box, you can use an alternative. And what I've got here is a lithium battery. This is a 2000 milliamps per hour, all right, which is equates to about, if you're using it at 1 amp of power, this will power up for, basically it's a 20 amp battery box, battery. So this lithium battery has here a 7.4 volt port connection there, and with that port you can connect a plug that will fit into there. I will provide the description below what that plug size is. I can't remember on top of my head, and I'm using a 2.1 male jack power plug adaptation. Okay, so it's just a cable that just slots in there, all right, and you've got your connection. This 2.1 plug will then fit in the power box like so. So now we've got the lithium battery connected up to the controller. Because it's a 7.6 volt, it's enough power to power up this box. You then switch on the power, okay, from the lithium battery, and then switch on the motor drive. Okay, that powers up the motor drive. Okay, quite simple. This will last a lot better than the standard power box. Okay, all right, and it operates quite well. All right, very well. There's not, okay, it's slightly over voltage a bit, but it's not under voltage. Okay, so this will last a long time. This probably lasts you quite a few days or quite a few nights of tracking with this size lithium battery, but this is enough power to power up this hand controller. So try it, the description below for these parts, they work very well. Alright, and you've got enough power to last you quite a few nights of tracking. So I don't know how long it will last, but you only need a low power. This only draws out a low amount of power, so this could last you for quite a few nights. So this is only required 6 volts, okay, 6 volts DC. Alright. So we take a closer look on the enhanced dual drive motor system control box. And as you see, I'm just going to go roughly on the basic controls. So as you can see, it's very lightweight, it's only a plastic box, there's aluminium buttons on there, and as you can see there, you've got slide on controls, right? As you can see there, you've got the 0 position, which means it's off. That control you can select is northern hemisphere or southern hemisphere. So N for northern, S for southern. And depends where you live, if you're depends on living in the world, as long as you're above the equator, you select the northern hemisphere. But if you're below the equator on Earth, then you select the southern hemisphere, because tracking is different between those hemispheres. You then got these controls for your tracking. So you got selection to sun, so obviously tracking for the sun. Then you've got tracking for the moon, and then you've got tracking for stars. So again, a slide-on system again, all right, and it just gives you a different sort of speed. Then you've got different speeds for slew speeds. So you've got 16 times slew speed, 2 times slew speed, and then you got 0.5 times slew speed. Again, different sort of speeds. I'm not quite sure how these operate, but I believe that in the manual, if you're moving to center an object, you select 16 times speed. If you're just tracking, ideally select the 2 times speed. But if you're using auto guiding, or you're actually doing astrophotography, you select the 0.5 times speed. So, but again, each of those speeds will work out differently on these different sections there. These buttons here represents, I believe that these ones here, left and right, represents the RA axis. The deck are the ones that are up and down, they're the deck axis. Now, if you look on the side, it says inverse RA and inverse deck. So these are slide-on switches here that you can switch on and off to activate the inverse. So you can actually reverse the controls. So basically, whatever left button is will become right, and then right button becomes left. Again, these are used if you're using like a mirror diagonal or a different telescope system. You might have to inverse the buttons. As you can see in the controls there, the 0 mark there represents off. All right. So you can see like in a recess there, like a little indentation that will indicate that that is off. So click it on there. It's in the on position. Right. It's very simple. But here I've kept mine 0, 0 positions, okay, so both positions are off. So basically there's no inverse position of my control box. Now as you can see here, you've got the RA and deck motor cables. They go at the back, held in with RJ11 connections, so they just clip on there. And then you've got the 6 volt DC power. Again, you need at least 6 volts to power up this controller and your motor drives. And again, this will just clip in via a 2.1 jack plug, DC plug that just connects there. Now the reason why I got this is because I'm interested with the auto guider. This has an ST4 port, which is here. All right, it goes there. All right, and you connect that to any auto guiding camera or a standalone guider like a Syn guider or a Next guide. It's the only motor drive that has this function. I have not seen any other motor drive systems that has the auto guider port. So that is the basic sort of controls. All right, it really is quite basic how it operates. I'm gonna test it out myself to see how it performs, and plus I get familiar with the controls. Now, one point to make out is that this box, to be honest with you, it's not very well made. It could be. I wish it could be made better than this. Particularly if you look at the northern and southern hemisphere and the tracking modes and the speeds. All right, they're just simple slide-on switches. All right, they're just switches in there. You'll notice that in the back they're exposed to the elements. So obviously, if you get any dew or something will get in there, will get water or anything trapped behind in the electronics inside that box. The buttons are fine, completely fine, they're okay. And it's just these slide-on switches I'm not particularly keen on. So to get around that, I've bought myself a simple plastic pencil case. from Amazon. Yes, it's cheap and nasty, but it does the job. I will provide the links below in the description, and this fits perfectly inside the hand controller, like so. It's got a zip, you just zip it up, alright, and it gives you a little bit to connect your connections in there, and it just wraps it up inside like that and protects it. What I will do is I will take it out once I start operating the mount. Once I've got my object and I'm tracking, I'll put this controller inside this pencil case, seal it up, and it will protect it from the elements, okay, and it will stop water from entering into that control box. So it's another way you could do it. I wish they made it a little bit better than this, but hey, I guess it's not so with Skywatcher. But apart from that, it's a simple fix, and the pencil case costs a few pounds. It's not much. Now, as you can see here, I made like a plastic cover to cover this annoying, like a circuit board that's held with 2 screws, and that's where my my deck motor, the connection there, is held. So I've made a basic plastic cover so it protects the that connection from obviously moisture, the elements, and plus it makes it a little bit robust. It's not the best. Obviously, if you're designing your little cover, yours will probably be better than this. And obviously this cover, if I unclip the connection, like so, right, move the connection, I'm going to take, this design is quite basic. I'll just loosen the Allen key so you can get to see how it's actually held in. Okay, it's not a good design, to be honest, but it's actually better than no protection. All right, so I just slacken the screw off, and you'll get to see how this is assembled. So take the screw off, and as you can see, as I pull this apart, what I've done, you see with this, I made a plastic tab, drilled a hole. It's only a 5mm Perspex like little tab, all right. That literally just, all that is just goes along this part of the motor drive, all right. Where's the bolt where it screws onto that recess, and all it is, it just goes on. I stepped it up with another plastic piece and then screwed it on with 2 screws to screw the cover, and it sits there quite nice. As you can see now, it's protected the cable, it's protected the printed board, all right. It's a simple design. I won't say it's a good design, but it's better than nothing, all right. And that's how it is. And I wish that Skywatcher actually made something like this in the first place. So it's not the best design. Obviously with mine, it's just a plastic bit that goes into the actual deck motor bracket system, and you clamp it in there, and this just secures it better, right? And all it is just 2 plastic bits, right? I've just glued them together, and then made me little plastic box cover, glue that together, and then put 2 little screws on top. So basically these 2 screws will go through the plastic bit like so into the actual plastic bracket, and that's all it is, all right. It really is such a basic design, all right. And yeah, and so with that basic design, it fits perfectly, all right. And I just slide it in there like so, put in my bolt, all right. Make sure that the gears are meshed in, all right. That's all it is. And it just screws on like so. I can't provide any dimensions of that box because, to be honest with you, every motor drive from Skywatcher is different. So you're going to have to measure it up yourself, make a similar design or better design than this. All right, it's not the best design, but it's better than nothing, and it clamps in there perfectly. All right, and you don't need to over tighten it. Just make sure that it's all nipped up like so. That will do the job perfectly, All right, and that's all it is. And providing you can still connect your deck motor bracket in there, as you see, and just connect it up. There we go. Clip it in there. That's it. That's all you need. And this will protect that that printed circuit board that's held in by those two lousy screws on there. The plastic bracket at the back that was held between that bolt will also help to strengthen and stop that board from snapping. All right, but that is much better than it is. I wish that Skywatcher had done that initially anyway, but for some sort of reason they just haven't. They just cheaped out on parts yet again. So everyone, we're going to test out first time on this enhanced motor drive. As you can see, we've got the battery connected up. Here's the basic hand controller. Just bear with me. Doing it with one hand as usual. Right, so there's the basic hand controller. We've just got a planetary camera for the time being because the night is not too great. Okay, so we'll probably do a bit of planetary imaging, but we're going to test it out, the tracking first on it. I'm not using any polars. I'm not using any guide scopes. We're not doing any auto guiding. We're just doing a standalone motor driven on both axes. I've polar aligned my polar scope towards Polaris, so that is now polar aligned, my mount. And as you can see, just my mighty Zoo 662 MC camera, and we are going to focus. I've also got a star focus on Vega, so I'm going to try and find Vega somehow, because at the moment she's moved out of position. Just bear with me. I've just gone look through my viewfinder, try and find it. Just bear with me. Obviously I've got this light behind me. Right, so as you can see here, obviously you can't see it, we've got Vega there, right, in position. So to activate the motor drive, what we'll do is I get Vega centered best I can. So with that now, I'll make sure that both my axis drives are locked, like so. I'll switch on the power on my motor. So I'll switch on the battery. So the battery's switched on. And all I do is I take it out of the casing, so it makes it a lot easier. The case is just there to protect the controller from the moisture. All I do now is, with my motor drive, because it's a star, I'll go into Northings, so I select Northings. My star setting is already set to star mode and tracking at 0.5 times. However, I'm going to flick to 16 times to manoeuvre Vega into position. Alright, so you'll notice there's nothing's moving. I've done that on purpose. To activate the motor drive, always switch off the controller first. You tighten up the clutches to engage the drive. Okay, so the RA axis drive is engaged, and then you activate the deck motor drive. Obviously, because it's moved, because obviously I've nudged it, I've obviously tightened it too hard, but it's not to worry. I will go and realign again. Well, I will use my handset for this one. So I'll flick on Northings, make sure I'm on star mode, and I'm on 16 times for slow motion. So I'll, using the RA and deck axis, and just slew the telescope round. Obviously you can't see what I'm doing probably, but right, so we've got Vega, we're just going to slow it into the crosshair. Vega's a good target to get it in position, right? So it really is a good test star, all right? Okay, I'll call it there. So then, once you've got it in position, you then flick over to 0.5 times. Oh, see, there's 0.5 times selected, and we're on star mode. So now the motor drive is operating on both axes, and you can see, hopefully, Vega stays in position. The one crucial thing you've got to remember is when you always, if you're going to loosen the clutch or tighten up the clutches on the drive motors, switch off the motor drive first. Very crucial that you do that. Alright, very important. Now, as you can see, obviously it moved out of position. We can see a very promising results here. Vega is beautifully tracked, and I must admit that's actually quite impressive. So the motor drive is pretty good. Bear in mind that you must be aware that you've got to get your pole alignment bang on. Obviously here the tracking's extremely good. Vega's remained in the field of view, and don't forget I am using a planetary camera. The Zoo 662 MC sensor is very small, alright, and I'm at the biggest setting for that camera, alright, so it's not bad, but tracking's still remaining pretty good, and I'm really happy with it. So obviously I use 16 times to use the slow, obviously move the motor drive to get stars or planets or whatever into position. Once you get that, you then just switch it back to whatever speed. For stars, it's always 0.5 times, all right, on the hand controller. Now, that is pretty good. That's very good results, that. I would love that. Obviously now, you know, look at Vega, look through an eyepiece, and as you can see, it's remained there for a good 2, maybe 3 minutes on this video. That's brilliant. So for general use, for using observation and maybe some astrophotography, you could get away with that. Obviously, it's a bit of a windy moment, so obviously the mount is moving a bit back and forth, so it's not an ideal time to do some deep sky imaging because the wind is pretty windy. But as you can see there, that is pretty good. Seeing is terrible because Vega is shimmering away, it's twinkling like crazy. So, like I say, it's just one of those things. So apart from that, that's good results. It's remained in the field of view of the sensor for quite some time, and it's not bad, really is not bad. I'm actually quite impressed with the basic functions of that hand controller. It really is so simple to operate. So everyone, I have just managed to get Saturn. The Sky conditions are terrible. As you can see, we've got Saturn there, and as you can see, it's bad seeing. I can just see the rings where they're a bit flat for the 102, and it's not the best image, don't get me wrong. So I have got it. I have got it on, as you can zoom in, I've got it in that mode, 320 by 24, 240, the smallest screen size. and it is a very tiny cropped sensor to get Saturn. So those are my settings. I'm recording at the moment, and Saturn's remaining in the field of view through that really tiny square, right? That's tiny, small proportion. So I've got it, I'm just recording it, but the sky conditions are terrible. It's all over the place. And I'm using an ADC, Zoo ADC corrector to try and obviously get rid of the false colouring and bad seeing as much as I can. But it's not a very good image of Saturn whatsoever. So even on the smallest sensor size, I noticed it started to drift, but I think that's because it's windy conditions. But it's staying in there for good. Well, I've got it at 3 minutes, and as you can see on the timer there, it's counting down to the last minute now. So it's staying in that small proportion. It's a tiny little square, but as long as I get 3 minutes of data, and as you can see I've got 26,000 frames. My frame rate's around about 130 odd, so I'll get some good data, but there'll be a lot of frames that'll be trashed because of that. It's the way it is. I mean, in the day, I mean, sky conditions really determine how good your planets are going to be. You can have the best camera, best mount, best telescope, but if your seeing conditions are terrible, as you can see now, we've just captured the remaining frames, and we've got around about 30,000 frames there. It's just going to collect the remaining other frames. So around about 110 frames per second, I've just managed to get Saturn, and Saturn is quite high up. So everyone, as you can see, I positioned the telescope pointing directly at Jupiter, and as you can see, if you could just make out Jupiter just in the distance there. It's literally above the horizon. It's around about 3-4 degrees from the horizon, so not an ideal position to image planets this low. And the reasons for that is, as you can see, if we take a closer look, we've got Jupiter tracking, and we're just going to lower down so you can see what. And as you can see, it is literally a featureless disk. There is nothing, because it's that low. You know, it's just above the horizon, 3 or 4 degrees. It's not great. So, as you can see, what we are going to do is we're going to test how the tracking. So it's around about 1759, and we're just going to leave it there tracking using the motor drives. The settings are what I've got it set up sun setting at 16 times, alright, and just let it just track. I might actually flick it down to 2 times, I think. So put it down to 2 times and see how it tracks. As you can see, I'm using a 640 by 480 mode, and we're just going to see how this performs. So it's around about 6 o'clock. I'm just going to leave the mount and the tracking to do its own thing and see how it gets on. So then everyone, I'm just going to check, and as we look closely, Aha. Right, so we've lost Jupiter, and if we, yeah, it's just what, alright, so we've lost Jupiter, which is not good to see. As you can see, we're at 2 times speed and we're at sun mode. Right, so what's happened, I'm glad that I read the manual. Now, it's okay tracking for the sun and the moon, but what I should have done, and this is what I should have done, I should have selected the star setting for planets. That's what I've done wrong. So, yeah, it's obviously I've lost the planet, and here if I just select on the highest video mode, I'll just minimize the zoom, hopefully get it to fit it. Yeah, I've definitely lost it. So I looked at the manual again, and that's what I've done wrong. That is stupid, isn't it? So, but again, this is the thing, I always make sure, I read the instructions and then try again. So obviously I did it in the wrong setting, but not to worry. What I will do is realign it. I'll switch off the motor and then see if I can get Jupiter back into the frame again. What a stupid mistake I did there. And as you can see, it's way out of position. So I don't know what's happened there. So obviously I've just moved it too much, and it's that's what happens, you see. So I'm just gonna maneuver Jupiter again, and I seem to be getting these problems with that RA axis. I don't know what that's what's happened there. But we'll go back again. Turn her up. So we got Jupiter. We've got Jupiter back on. Right, so there's Jupiter now. I'm just gonna switch on the motor drive. At the moment, Jupiter's a bit low in the sky still. Still a bit low. I might give it another half hour. So I'll lock the clutches in. Try again. I'll get Jupiter in the field of view again. Okay, I'll put it 16 times first. So I'll get it into the okay. So now what I should have done is flick down to star and down to point 5 times. Okay? That's what I should have done. So I don't know what happened there, but I seem to get some problems with the RA axis. I don't know if that's what's happened there. Either the clutch seems like it's gone loose, but we'll see anyway. So yeah, so we're back online and see what we get. So the time, I'll just minimize it so you can see. So I was tracking at 7 o'clock. So I've lost it because I didn't select it in star mode. So I should have read the instructions properly. This time, hopefully, we're back on track again and then try again. Hopefully that should stay in that field of view, and we'll see, won't we? Right then everyone, I'm back again, and we're just going to check if Jupiter has remained on the camera. There it is. Just dim it down. Oh, yes, it has. Okay, it's moved slightly, but it's actually in the camera sensor. Obviously it's in the big sensor size, but as we take a closer look, yeah, you can see that that's the time. And if we zoom in so you can see, yeah, it's half an hour, and yeah, it's worked. It's worked a treat. So obviously the settings that I looked at, the manual is correct. So as long as you're on star mode at 0.5 times, then you should stay tracked for quite some time. I'm just going to double check that yeah, the right tension clutch is not slipped, so that's good. So yeah, so it's worked. So I'll know next time now, every time I want to track something, particularly the planets or any deep sky objects, make sure I'm on 0.5 times and select it star mode, not moon, not sun. So that was my bad, but I'm glad I made that mistake, so I know for myself that I can refer to this video in case I forget yet again, because I will forget at some point. But yeah, we've been tracking Jupiter, and you can see Jupiter in the far distance. It's around 19 degrees up in the air, but it's not high enough to satisfy, because I really want above 25 degrees. But the clouds are coming in rather rapidly, and to be honest with you, I want to do a minute and 20 seconds of exposure video to just get some of the detail on there. So as you can see, it's done all right. I'm happy with the results so far. What I will do is I'll minimize the size, because I need to put it to the smallest size setting. As you can see, in the smallest size, I've just cropped the sensor down to 320 and 240 video mode, and the reasons for that is I want to capture as much of frames as possible. Faster the frame rate, the better. As you can see, we can just start to see a level of detail. If I just minimize there so you can see, we're starting to get the main belts there. I might have to tweak the camera exposure. I'm not getting any in the moons, but I'm not really too fussed. I just want to, yeah, I just want to get the surface detail as best I can. I'm not really bothered about the moons, to be honest with you. The moons are there. What I will do is, if I go to my hand controller, I'm going to go into 16 times and move Jupiter just a tad closer and get it centered into the frame. At the moment it's very windy, so I don't know if I'm going to get some good results of that. So I'm back, I switch it back to 0.5 times at star mode, and what I will do is start a capture. It's Jupiter, and the thing with Jupiter is you can't take too much. You literally go, I will literally go up to 90 seconds at the most with this planet. Alright, you really don't want to push the limit too much. So around about 90 seconds is the most. So I'm going to go around about
1 hour, 1 minute and 20 seconds, which is more than ample. Okay, so hopefully the wind doesn't cause any issues. So I'm going to start the capture and just do a small exposure, capture an hour, or say a minute and 20 seconds. My frame rate's pretty good at 151 frames per second. I could go lower, but I don't want to do that. Seeing is still pretty rubbish because it's still pretty low in the sky, but I managed to get some of the cloud belts. So the cloud belts are in there. So I'm going to capture the frames. Because it moves really fast, you know, it rotates really fast. And you don't want to be messing about. So run about 60 seconds or a minute or just over a minute, you'll be okay. You don't want to go any longer because your video, what you'll get is you get field rotation where the cloud belts will actually move. You don't want that, particularly if you're stacking the image. So 1 minute and 20 seconds is enough for me, and that is it. Again, seeing conditions will vary how much I've stacked. I've stacked around about 12,000 frames. So what I will do is I might slow down the exposure a little bit more and then up the gain and then slow down the exposure again. Okay, and then up the gain again. Well, not too much. We see if you overexpose, you start to get the moves, but because we're too low, so lower the exposure again. Okay, so I've gone up to 290. So I'm at exposure 1.09 millisecond and round about 281 on gain. Okay. Again, that's an acceptable level at 289 frames per second. Same again, capture some more frames. Start the exposure. I must say, oh, the wind is terrible. It's blowing them out. So as you see, it moved the planet quite a bit. But not to worry. The more frames we can get, around about 290 frames per second. Yeah, Jupiter's bouncing about, but hey, this is real astrophotography. And again, like always, not staged. So we'll capture that detail, capture that video, and might call it quits. So not a good night, but now I've got the settings perfect now. If it was not windy, the tracking would be so much better than this, but it does work. And I wouldn't advise, to be honest with you, the tracking is good, but it's not good enough for deep space photography. So if you're taking deep space just using manual track mode, you may get, if you're lucky, you probably get about a minute exposure time with this basic layout. So with the manual motor drives, you probably get reasonable tracking, and you probably may able to get deep sky imaging, but for a minute or so. So it's not ideal, but it's better than nothing, I suppose. So then, everyone, I managed to get some video on Jupiter. Still using the same tracking method, not auto guiding. Still got the legendary Zoo ASI 662, and I'm just going to show for the people what it's like with deep sky. Now, as you can see here, if we take a closer look, you will get to see, as we can see here, we have got the Orion Nebula, and because it's such a small chip, I'm on the maximum, and I mean literally the maximum chip size. And as you can see, I've just got the core. It's a bit overblown at the center, but I just want to show you the obviously the stretch of the nebulosity. We've got the M43 as well in there, but it's such a small chip that Orion Nebula doesn't really fit in that frame properly. So as you can see there, the tracking is good, and as you can see there, I'm just doing 5 minutes exposure. I've just had to up the gain slightly a bit, and then just to try and minimize the noise, and it's tracking really well, surprisingly. And 5 seconds is not bad. So this is not guided in any other way. Alright, and this is really impressive results. Now, as I said before, because I'm using a smaller chip size, there is no focal reducer. And already look at the detail on the nebulosity. The stars are sharp, but they seem very soft through this camera. Now, I have tried it before with the ST80, but I use a focal reducer, a 0.5 focal reducer, and it was much worse. However, using the f/5 ratio, it's okay. The images are a bit on the soft side. I don't know if I've oversampled it or undersampled it, but the images do look a bit soft in there. So it's not bad for 5 seconds. There's a lot of detail there. I'm actually quite impressed with it through the ST102. I'm using the Barda contrast booster to try and minimize the false coloring, which is doing a good effect on there. So it has helped out lower the blue halo. So I'm actually quite happy with how good that filter is. But again, as always, the 662 is not bad, but I say it wasn't great for deep sky. However, I would say it is really good for planets and the moon, you know, stuff like that. But for deep sky, you are limited to what you can do with this camera, and that's the reason why I didn't do a part 2 of the 662. But now you see what sort of level of detail you can achieve with the 662. It's okay. It's not the best camera. You can do deep sky with it, but ideally I would say look at smaller targets like planetary nebulas or smaller galaxies, brighter galaxies. So it's not a great camera as such for deep sky, but I must admit it tracks really well with just 5 seconds exposure. There's hardly any drift in there, and I'm not auto guiding, which is really quite impressive to get a 5-second exposure that's obviously using manual motor drives, no auto guiding. So I'm really excited how this handset performs using the auto guider. So what I'll do is I'll adjust the settings and see what I can achieve, and I'll get back to you. Okay everyone, right, I tried 3 minutes but it didn't work. It's getting really windy now, so it's been affecting getting also tracking errors and stuff like that as well. So because it's such a windy night here, you can see where the slow motion controls are moving up and down, so I think that was affecting the tracking as well. So what I've done is I've focused on 60 seconds and kept it I'm going to do 40 frames of it. You know, I'm not going to go too balmy. The clouds are coming in, and I'll be lucky if I get any few frames with this. So as you can see, we've got some nice detail there. I have overblown the core a little bit, but to be fair, you can see the slight tracking errors because obviously the wind is causing dramas. So there might be a few frames getting binned because of that. But I tell you one thing, it's not bad. It's actually not bad to say it's unguided. So obviously having it guided would be a different story. I mean, initially I got the two minutes. I think I was just lucky. I think I was just lucky on that one. But that is not bad tracking. So I've gone for 60 seconds. Cut down the gain half. And just kept it simple. Alright. And that's all you need. And to be honest, it's not actually a bad image. But as you see there, what I mentioned before, great for planets, not so great for deep sky. The image seems to be a lot softer. And don't forget, this is through a refractor. So the images are a lot softer. So I don't know without checking Astro tools if I've oversampled or undersampled there. But again, very small size chip. I'm on the maximum image size as well, and this is the most I can get out of that Orion Nebula. And it's a huge target, and it probably would help if I use a 0.8 times focal reducer just to widen the field of view a bit. But then with these images it's already soft anyway, you're just going to increase the soft, you're even going to make it more blurred and softer. So, and it's not worth it with this camera. So even though I love to have done part 2, you know why I haven't done part 2. So the images aren't that great for this camera, but I must admit it is pretty good for what it is. It's not bad. So I'm going to go for 40 frames, and then when the clouds roll in, if I can't stretch it anymore, I'll just nail it with some more dark frames. I'm not even going to bother with flat frames, to be honest with you. But I'm just going to take dark frames, and that is it, just to reduce the noise. But to say that, it's not actually quite. It's got the actual noise levels quite good on this camera. So I can't see any hot pixels in there, but it is winter. Obviously in the summer months this could be a lot more noisier, but it's actually not a bad image. But the camera is definitely well suited for planets, planetary imaging. But overall, not bad result. So then, as you can see, we've got the Syn guider set up with a guide scope. We are focused on the Messier 45, a nice easy target to start off with. We are going to test out using the enhanced motor drive. As you can see, we're using the auto guide port. If I dim down there, you can see the auto guiding port. So you connect the auto guider to the Syn guider. Okay, we've already detected some stars. The main focus for this to work is make sure that you focus with your guide scope so you can get your stars. Here you'll see, you can see there, Pleiades is just there. We're in live view with Pleiades. So we've got Pleiades in the live view of the camera. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to position it first, like so. Get it nice and square using the slow motion controls. Okay, we're going to get the Pleiades center in the field of view as we can. You then make sure that your lock down knobs for your deck and Ori axis are on. You then lock your clutches, make sure both axes is fully locked down. Okay, nice and tight, make sure they're tight, like so. make sure that Pleiades is in the field of view. Our Sun Guide is on. We've detected a star already, which is good. We now activate the motor drive, switch on the power, make sure we grab the plastic cover. Okay, as you see, make sure we're Novins, make sure your star's in star mode. Just dim that down so you can see. Okay, so make sure you're in star mode and you're on 0.5 times speed, and I'm in Northern Hemisphere, so I click that and that activates the motor drive. Now if Pleiades is moved, not a problem, we switched it over to 16 speed to get it into center of the field of view. We're using the controls to get Pleiades into the field of view, like so. Once you're happy, you leave it to run, like so. And with that, we then activate Sun Guider. We have got some stars in there. I don't usually like doing cuts, but obviously my LED screen, my lighting decided to pack up. So as you can see, we're still on Pleiades, but I just need to readjust it again. So using the 16 times speed, I'm going to recenter it again. Okay, get it into field of view. Right. It does take a lot of time to get used to the controls because it's all sort of analog. Just bear with me. Right, okay. So once you've gotten that, you then flick it back to 0.5 times tracking speed. We then go over to Sun Guider, and what we do is we go into preview mode, we select menu, we then scroll down to lock, we lock onto the score, we press lock auto, press enter, it'll grab the star like so. Once we grab the star, we go into menu, we then click on guide, enter, and then auto cal. Okay, now auto cal that. So basically we've got the ST4 lead connected to the Sun Guider, and it's connected to the auto guider. Okay, as you can see there, we're getting some corrections already. Okay, so as you can see there, we get some corrections there from the controller. All right, and we'll keep doing it until it's calibrated the star. Obviously it's still doing the controls. Okay, it will take some time. We have got a bit of a windy conditions, which is weird, but it's actually quite easy. I'm very quite impressed how this is very easy. As long as you've got the Northern Hemisphere tracking, or whatever you are on Earth, and you've got the star, alright, and the 0.5 times there. Okay, it's doing some corrections at the moment, so you just got to bear with it. Bear with it as it goes along. It's correcting its auto guiding. Okay, it's going through the motion. It takes some doing. Just bear with me, it's still doing its corrections. As I see, we're still on Pleiades. Pleiades is still into the field of view. bear with. It's still going through its motion. Pleiades is still tracking. We've still got Pleiades in the live view. Right, so we're now on the next stage, which is the north moving. So hopefully that's detecting the motion for the north. As you can see, the Yanset, it looks like there's no corrections on deck now. Just keep looking. It's still doing its corrections. It's still doing the calibration. Pleiades is still, still into the view, which is good. Like I say, it takes a while. Yes, we're guiding. As you can see there, focus, we're guiding. Okay, so that's good. We're guiding quite well. And as you can see, that's what it looks like when there's corrections. So now with that hand controller, the hand controller is now getting controlled by SynGuider, and that's how it works. So only a few precautions you've got to be aware of is make sure that your clutches are tight. Okay, so once they're tight, then activate the controller. So make sure your clutches are tight onto the drivetrain for both axes. Okay, once you're on there, that's absolutely fine. I will say this now, make sure that also your slow motion controls are not catching on where it might affect the tracking. Okay, so as long as we're auto guiding, you can just see, as long as we're guiding, we are guiding on a star, but as long as you're guiding, that's fine. Okay, and hopefully it's working out for us. So we see how we get on. Right, for some strange reason, SynGuider is not behaving. Right, so what I'll do, because of that, I'll switch off the hand controller, and then I'll just recalibrate the guiding again. So guide, just going to switch her off. Stop, enter. Okay. I think there's a passing cloud. That's probably why I've lost the star, which is great. Just unlock it. It's a bit hard to right, so there's another star. We'll just use that one. So go to menu, I'll lock that star again. What I will do is, because I switched off the hand controller, right, I'm gonna switch her on again, go into 16 speed, and move Pleiades yet again. Okay, we'll get it into right, hold on, something is amiss. Let us check. Yeah, see what I mean? There is, yeah, you've got to make sure that these clutches are tight. Okay, we'll try that again. Switch on the controller. Just move the controller like so. Right, so we get Pleiades back on. We now switch it on to 0.5 times speed. Right. Right, now we go, grab our star, enter auto, we're grabbing the star, okay, we go into menu, we then start the guide, auto cal again. Right, so we're doing the guide, we're doing the auto cal, we're going to recalibrate. And like always, why did the battery switch off? I have no idea. That's something you don't want when you're doing calibrating your calibration of the auto guiding. Right, so hopefully we'll switch on to the live view. So Pallades is still into the sole frame. So it's doing the corrections in deck again. You notice the controller is now recorrecting. Okay. It is a bit fiddly at first. I'm gonna be honest with you guys and girls and everyone. It is fiddly to get used to this. Right, now it's doing the Northern parts. Okay, it's doing the corrections for that. Now we've still got Pallades into the camera, which is good. Right, it's doing its corrections again. Come on, Sim Guider, don't let me down. You've been good so far. Right. Okay, we are now guiding. Right, so it's now doing the corrections. Make sure you're on 0.5 times and you're on star mode and Northern Hemisphere. That's fine. It's doing this good stuff. So I'll switch off live view. We're guiding. We're now going to activate the camera. I'm going to start exposure. What I'm going to do, I'm going to be absolutely going to turbo mode. I'm just going to make, right, I'm just going to, right, right, I'm going to set my exposure and I'm going to be absolutely crazy. Right, I'm going to do 10 minutes exposure time, like so. I think it's absolutely bonkers for me to do that. I'm going to select the ISO. Just bear with me. Yeah. Come on. Why do I have to make it hard for myself? ISO. Come on. Right, so 800 ISO. Right, make sure your control box is nice and secure. We're guiding. Okay. Oh, come on, man. It's hard when I'm operating two things. Hand controller for my camera and everything. Right, hopefully, I'll just double check. We've still got Pallades there. Okay, happy days. Now focus. We're now going to take the shot. Like so. We're now taking the shot. Okay, so this is first time using the auto guider with this enhanced handset, and I'll be honest with you, it is fiddly at first. I'm not going to lie to you, it is fiddly. One key area to point out is make sure that your clutches are tight. Okay, once they're tight, you should be good to go. If your clutches are loose, this will determine if you're going to start losing your auto guiding or your tracking. Alright, so the clutches are a key point to note. Alright, so as long as they're tight, that's absolutely fine. So yeah, it's a bit of a drama, I'm not going to lie to you, but I am auto guiding. Okay, so I'm still auto guiding on a bright star, not an ideal star to really focus on, because really I want quite a dim star to provide better tracking. But it's not to worry, it is what it is. I do find this control a bit weird to start off with, because you have to manually focus your controls. So when you are taking astro photos, just make sure you're in northern hemisphere or southern hemisphere, depending on your location, and make sure that your middle section is on star tracking and at 0.5 times speed. Right, that is very crucial. Obviously, my battery is okay. I think it's at 95%. We'll see how it goes. Now, I'm sure that 20 amps per hour should be more than ample to power a 6-volt system, but I'm not quite sure. I did try the smaller packs, but I had one that absolutely just malfunctioned. So I don't know if it's too much power or the actual battery's gone faulty, which can happen. So we still check the auto guiding, and we're auto guiding quite well. Exposure 600. I might actually dim that down to low the exposure, but there's no need to worry. I'm going to not faff around too much on the controls, because end of the day I want to show you. I'm going to show you everyone how this system works. As you can see, we've got a dewy night, and that modification that I've just done there is working really well. It's shielded that awful attachment, the component, the electronic component on there. I don't know why Skywatcher have cheaped out on that. They should have put like a protective housing to protect the socket in the first place. So I have no idea why they haven't done that. It mind boggles me how they just cheap out on parts. All right, you pay for a motor drive. Come on, Skywatcher, do it properly. All right, put a waterproof housing or something that will protect that really flimsy part that really holds. It's literally like a circuit board that hold in by tiny screws. At least this surround is going to protect it from moisture, all right, or stop it from snapping. All right, so yes, it's made out of plastic, but it's better than nothing. And this will help protect that deck motor, the actual socket. So that modification is working as a treat. Handset still pretty good. Battery life 95%. Don't worry, guys, if I keep repeating myself over and over again. But this is a live Astro image session. All right, I want to make sure that everything's running properly. As you can see, I had to cut the video because this stupid LED screen decided to pack up. So I've had to source out some new batteries. It's just the way it is. So we're still good. We're still guiding. We're still on a star. And we'll see. Now, if I get 10 minutes exposure time, this will be very impressive. All right. I might actually whitewash the image because I'm waving this stupid LED light about. But if I get enough so that the stars are nice and perfect, then it'd be good. All right, and it proves that one thing. I mean, 10 minutes exposure time is probably too much for this setup. Okay, this is just a basic enhanced handset. It's a basic motor drive. Now, it's not going to be as good as a SynGuide motor drive system, but it's just a normal DC motor drive on an analog electric controller. All right, there's nothing to it. All right, but the whole purpose of this video is to show you guys and girls that I want to step away from computers. The only computers that's really operating is the SynGuide itself. All right, but that is a standalone system, so nothing is plugged in. I'm not plugged into any computers. As you can see, we check our way around. All right, there's no computers or nothing. All right, the only thing that's on the floor is the waterproof case, which I will put on because it's starting to dew up and probably ice up at the moment. So always I'm keep checking, see if that my motor drives are still operating, which they are. They're not slipping. So that's the most important part with this system, is making sure that your clutches are nice and tight. Obviously when you lock it, once you lock these clutches, make sure that your motor drive is not activated. All right, you don't want to damage the motor. I'm hoping that there's no slippage, because if you get the slippage, you end up affecting the guidings as well. So that's the other thing you've got to be concerned about, is if your guiding starts to slip, all right, just check that firstly you haven't got any passing cloud. If you've got any passing cloud, then that probably is a problem. But at the moment I've got a clear sky, which is good, and hopefully we'll get Pleiades. Now 10 minutes exposure, this camera is set at ISO 800, all right, and yeah, it's looking good already. So hopefully we see what we get. Now, I don't know what's going on with SynGuider, but it's glitching out again. That's something you don't want. It appears to be guiding, but is it guiding? But I can't see no star. And the star says, alright, star lost. Is that star lost? You're joking. I've lost the star. Okay, so what we'll do, because we've lost that star, it means I'm going to have to stop the exposure. So I'll stop the exposure, and as you can see, oh great. So as we can see, if we just dim down the exposure, right, you can see there it's whitewashed. Yeah, it's whitewashed quite a bit, to be honest with you. That would have been an awesome shot. We've got some detail there. Some very good nebulosity there as well. But yeah, because I've lost that star, and it looks like I've lost it for a while. So yeah, brilliant. That would have been a terrific shot there. Absolutely terrific shot. So obviously what we've got here is that SynGuider's failed me this time, which I think is the main problem. Alright, so I think that's what's happened there. It is what it is. That would have been a terrific shot, that. I think that having 10 minutes exposure is a bit on the too much side, I think. Yeah, I think it's on the too much side, which is a real shame. So it seems that yeah, it seems like I might be pushing it with 10 minutes exposure. So we've got the basics how this works, okay? So basically we've got the auto guiding actually working, but for some reason I've lost the star, which is absolutely annoying, because I know that because we've lost that star, that would have been an awesome shot. So it does prove it does work, but I think 10 minutes exposure time is too much. So what I'll do is I'll try again, and I'll come back to you, all right, and see how I get on. So then everyone, we've started it again, and yeah, I found out it's my clutches again. I'm getting the same problem with the clutches, particularly the RA drive. It keeps, for some strange reason, it keeps coming undone, and I think the main cause of that is that I think it's catching on the plastic body, right? See where the plastic body is? I think that's what's doing it, because that was unloosening, and that's what's losing me star. So I reckon that's what the main cause is. That plastic body is rubbing against the clutch, so it's basically loosening that clutch, I think. So that's why I'm losing my guy star, because that clutch is basically coming loose, and when it comes loose, it's then obviously it's also catching onto that plastic bit, this plastic housing here. So as you can see, it's very close to that plastic housing. So I think what I need to do is file that plastic bit, making sure that I've got nothing that's rubbing against that clutch. So I reckon that's what the problem is. Again, I've still lost the guy star. So I don't know what's going on. Is that star lost? I've lost the star. So what we'll do now is we're doing 2.5 minutes exposure time. Just cancel that. Okay, that's not bad. Let's have a look at that. Because we've lost that star. That is actually not bad. If I just dim down so you can see. Yes. That's what I've just got. As you can see, if we zoom in, that's pretty impressive. That is very impressive. We've got good tracking there. Very good tracking. That's exactly what we want to prove. Obviously, Sim Guider is working. And yeah, that is very impressive. That's very good. Yeah, that's not bad at all. That's not bad. Okay, so also let me just increase the exposure so you can see. All right, so we've got the star back. Okay, so we've got the star back. So what I'll do is I'll up the exposure on me just enough. Right, I've tried exposure 200, maybe because I just dimmed it out too much. Right, that's a really good image of Pleiades. So the main problems I'm getting is obviously that stupid clutch rubbing on that housing, and I think that's what's causing it as well. So I definitely need to file that piece there to make sure that that clutch ain't rubbing. That's a real shame, that, because I had an awesome image of Pleiades, and that was only 2.5 minutes, just about. That's not bad. So what we'll do is we'll start the exposure again. Okay, we're doing 5 minutes ISO 800. Okay, I'm going to dim down the camera. As you can see, I'm not going to lie to you, everyone, it is fiddly. Alright, it is fiddly. We've now got Sim Guider working, behaving now, finally. I'm just hoping that this clutch is playing ball on the RA axis. That is the most important axis, because that is the one that always constantly moves. The deck axis corrects itself when it's needed. Now I don't know, obviously if my slow motion controls are in the way of the camera as well. That's the other problem I've noticed with my slow motion controls. So I might need to take this slow motion control off, alright, from the RA axis. So there are some advantages and disadvantages of using these long extension slow motion controls. So I noticed that is in the way, so that might cause a few problems, because we're tracking from obviously from east to west. So this RA axis is going to be in the way, I think, this slow motion control. So there's a lot of things that can go wrong here. There is a lot of things, and but what I'm trying to say to you, to everyone, it's not easy. All right, it really is not easy. But once you get it right, you've got a budget drive system with auto guiding. We've just proved to you that it works with an auto guider. Okay, it might work with the modern auto guiders with PhD. So you could use a proper dedicated Astro guide cam and use PhD guiding software for that. But that means you need to connect that to the computer. This system is all standalone, so everything in there, the camera, the auto guider, and now we're just using the electric power from the battery to power the handset. So that handset is really good. To be fair, it does take something to get used to, but providing if you're using any of the slow motion controls, make sure before you tighten up any clutches or loosen clutches, switch off that handset to stop the power going up. So we've still got the guide star, which is good. Syn guide is starting to behave itself. We do have passing cloud everywhere, so it's not an ideal night, but as you can see there, she's running perfectly now. So yes, I did have a few teething problems. I am definitely going to sort out that RA axis. All right, that is definitely a problem there, right there, because that was loosening, and it basically what that did was it then affected me tracking. So yeah, it's not easy, but once you get used to it, bear in mind I am recording this and I'm trying to trying to control this, learning how this system works, and also filming at the same time. So yeah, it's not easy. All right, it's just the way it is. It's just I'm struggling a bit here trying to get this right and show everyone that what this system's all about. But yeah, it's I have teething problems, all right, but it's better to have teething problems to show you that I'm not bluffing the case, and things like this do happen. My videos aren't perfect, but at least there's one thing, they're not staged. All right, I don't make this, you know, just to say, oh, this is absolutely dead easy, because I'm telling you now, it's not easy. So there are glitches with that system, and that is definitely that clutch system there, and I think that is the main problem child I've got at the moment. So we're now up to the 5 minutes exposure time, and then we'll see what we get. Okay, see how we get. What we do is once it reaches 5 minutes, okay, wow, look at this, I'll just flick on that screen. Right, so as you can see, if we zoom in, wow, that is very impressive. Yes, the image is whitewashed, because obviously I'm probably whitewashing it because I'm just shining this bright LED light. But as you can see in that image there, we have got nebulosity everywhere. The stars are nice and crisp and pinpointed. 5 minutes exposure time. 5 minutes, excuse me, that was me. I didn't mean to do that, but also I've just eaten, so sorry about that. Right, so 5 minutes exposure time right there, and we've got some decent tracking on the stars. That is really impressive. We've got some nice nebulosity there. Yeah, so that is impressive. I'm absolutely over the moon with that, and that's 5 minutes exposure time using the auto guiding. So what I'm going to do, like I did say to you everyone, I'm going to try the 10 minutes exposure time. All right, and the reasons for that is that I just want to just reach that 10-minute exposure time, because that's a big deal. If you can reach 10 minutes exposure time, capturing that data with a basic budget enhanced motor drive, if I can reach 10 minutes exposure time, that's really impressive. All right, I don't think I need much more than that, okay, because 10 minutes is an awful long time. All right, and we're going to start the exposure. We're going to set it up for 10 minutes. Okay, so we set it up for 10 minutes, We're going to start the shot. We're still tracking on that star, which is good. So now we're now doing the 10-minute exposure time. Now, if this works, this will be absolutely awesome. It really is. And I'm not being funny, everyone. 10 minutes is a big deal. If I can reach 10 minutes exposure time with this budget motor drive system, all right, we might be on a winner here. So then, everyone, we're coming up to 9.5 minutes. So we've got literally a few more seconds now to reach the magic 10 minutes exposure time. So as you can see, we're still taking the shot, and we're coming up to 10 minutes exposure time. This is pretty big if this works. Okay, so it's taking a shot. And then stop the camera, and we're gonna flick through. Wow, hold on, wait a second, let's dim this down so you can see. And we got it. Oh, come on, folks. Yes, no freaking way. It's whitewashed. It's whitewashed, but wow, no way, we've done it. We've managed 10 minutes exposure time. This is outstanding. That is, all the stars are rounded, even to the edge. 10 minutes exposure time. I cannot believe it. That is freaking awesome. That is awesome. No word of a lie. That is freaking awesome. And as you can see there, the auto guider, not the best guide in the world, but we're guiding a star. That is freaking awesome. 10 minutes exposure time with a basic budget enhanced motor drive system. That is absolutely fantastic. Now, yeah, it's whitewashed a bit, it's too much. So obviously I'm either using this light and it's whitewashing it, or my skies aren't perfect. But that, to me, has just answered that this basic dual system works. I just can't believe that. That is staggering. Yeah, still glitches, but once you get the system working, it really is amazing what you can achieve for a budget system like this. This is not staged. I've recorded all the way through the video so you can see. All right, that is freaking awesome. Again, hand controller working really well with that battery. Fantastic. Only thing I have glitches is with that clutch there. Everything else, as I showed you with the setup, how it worked. But still, what I'm also going to say is make sure that your polar scope is perfect. Alright, get that reticle perfect, because the whole system can't work if this is not polar corrected. If this is not polar aligned with Polaris, right, you've got to get that polar scope bang on. The AutoGuide will do its best thing to try and correct the errors with those drives. But that is freaking awesome. That really is good. That is damn good. So everyone, we tried a different target, we're auto guiding, and at the moment the sky conditions are really falling apart. So I've got a bit of a clearing to get probably the best target, an easy target for most people, is go for the Orion Nebula. There's a bit of a clearing there, but I think the clouds are going to ruin my day at the moment, which is a real shame, because I really wanted to get a lot of data using this setup. Unfortunately, it ain't happening. It's just the way it is. I'm really disappointed how the clouds have just meant to be clear and it's now becoming absolutely horrendous. So I'm hoping I get my guide start. I'm still guiding. I'm going to take a picture of the Great Orion Nebula at 3 minutes exposure time at ISO 800. I'm hoping I capture at least a few frames before the clouds literally just destroy everything. It's a real shame. It's just how it is. But at the moment we're at 1 minute and 20. Come on, SynGuider, don't let me down, because this is the problem with this system. As soon as a cloud passes, I'll lose that star and it's game over, that shot. Battery still good, 93%, I don't know if you can see that, and controller working really well. Luckily the Orion is that low that I've still got a bit of a clearing, but there's cloud surrounding everywhere. So if I can just get one single image or something like that, it's better than nothing. So at 2 minutes exposure time, I'm so good. I'm so glad that I managed to get 10 minutes exposure time with that Pleiades. Again, it's only a single image, but hey, well, looks like I'm clouded out, I think, I'm afraid. But if I can just get one good shot, at least something, better than nothing. But this cloud haze is really causing some heartache with my astro imaging. So we're coming to 2 minutes 50. Yeah, we're almost there. If I can just get that 3 minutes. Right, I've stopped the shot. We've got it. Let's see now what we've got. Let's have a look. This is 3. Oh wow, we've done it. Come on, yes, we've freaking done it. Yes, a really good shot of the Orion Nebula. That is freaking awesome. We even got the Running Man Nebula in there. That is impressive. Again, there's cloud haze. It's causing some massive dramas. but we've freaking got it. Yes. Good tracking. I can't argue with that, guys and girls, everyone. That's a very good image, that. And it's from an Achromat. Wow. I'm really, really happy with the results. What can I say? What can I say? Well, that's a good image right there. Am I still guiding? I am. Right, so what's going to happen? I'm going to just take another shot and just keep taking series of shots best I can before my night is over. So at the moment we've got this horrible cloud cover. It's totally destroying my night. But if this little bit of a clearing, if I could get just probably 5, maybe 6 frames, I'll be lucky. That's impressive little shot of Orion there. What do you reckon, everyone? What do you reckon? Budget dual system. Yes, it's got some flaws, but I'm going to try and sort out the RE axis. But it worked. It absolutely worked. So the only thing that's against me now, man, is the clouds. It looks like the clouds are literally eating my night sky. Absolutely devastated that it has to come to this. But as long as I can get a few images, just enough to stack through Deep Sky Stacker, maybe. But I don't know. But 3 minutes exposure time. You've got a cracking image of the Orion Nebula. Yes, it's an easy target for many, but this cloud. You know what? Despite the stuff I'm struggling now with this setup, I'm glad in a way this system's worked out for me. It really is a good motor drive system. Like I said, there's not many videos out there that's based around that basic motor drive, the enhanced system. And again, it's available for First Light Optics and River Valley Optics and Widescreen Center. They sell this basic drive system, and you combine it with SynGuider or NextGuide, connect it to your DSLR camera. You've got a nice little astrophotography rig for not much money. Yes, you do have to spend extra bit for all the other stuff, but I'm really happy. But I've got, just to be honest, and reaching 10 minutes exposure time, even though it's whitewashed, I'm really happy with the results. And as you can see, we're going to go straight into another 3 minutes exposure time. See what we get. Come on. There we go. Bang. There we go. We've got another cracking image there. Yeah. Let's focus in so you can see. Wow. Excellent tracking. Nice crisp stars. And that nebula is like in your face. I'm really absolutely over the moon with that, guys and girls and everyone. Look at that. So, not the best night, but what I'll do is now, I'm just going to keep taking these shots now. I'm really happy, and if I'm clouded out, I'm clouded out. It's just one of those things. Alright, it's not easy. It's not been an easy one, this one. But what can I say? What can I say, everyone? The system works, and it works really well. So I do have glitches, which I'm going to sort out. Definitely that RA axis there, where that clutch is loosening because it's catching on that plastic cover there on the edge. And I think it's here where it's catching there. It's just catching just a little bit. So I will file that down that plastic casing just a bit to stop any stop that clutch from loosening out. Again, I had to use the bigger battery. Real shame that my small battery didn't work. I think it went faulty. I think it was the actual battery that's gone faulty, but this one's holding out. It's at 93%. That will run all night, I think. Like I say, 3 minutes exposure time is not to be sniffed at. I'm really happy that 10 minutes is achievable with this system. I don't think any exposure time much longer than that. 10 minutes I think is really pushing for this system. If you want to exceed it to 20, maybe 30 minutes exposure time, I think you'll start getting some tracking errors and a lot of things can go wrong. So I think 10 minutes is probably more than ample for this basic dual drive system. But what I'm trying to say to you, everyone, the key aspect for this to work properly is get that polar scope reticle adjusted. That is really important. Before everything else can work, that has to be spot on. Your pole alignment is the key. Once that's pole aligned, everything else will then start to go into sync and then start working as it should. So, a few passing cloud, it might be game over for me, but at least I've proven to you, everyone, this system has not let me down. Despite its glitches and its limitations, I'm absolutely thrilled to bits with it. It's not a bad system at all. It really is. What can I say, everyone? And we'll just have a look now to see number 3. See where we get. And bingo, look at that. Another great shot of the Orion Nebula. So, fingers crossed, skies play a ball. I'm just hoping I can get some more images of that Orion. And yeah. So, thank you very much, and clear skies to all. Wish me luck.
Well, everyone, what do you reckon? I must admit, the enhanced dual drive system has worked exceptionally well. Despite a few limitations, one, it doesn't have the go-to function, so you've got to manually find these objects for yourself. And yeah, there are a few glitches I found as well using the dual drive system, which could be better. One particular is definitely the deck axis motor drive, where they've exposed this, the actual, it looks like a printed circuit board that's holding with just 2 screws. Why can't they just put a dust cover surround to protect that part there, and it's not exposed to the elements? I don't understand why Skywatcher have cheaped out on something like this. If you're going to pay for a motor drive, expect to have some kind of housing to protect the electronics. That I made myself is pretty good. I don't know the exact dimensions of that, but all I did was just cut out pieces and just roughly marked out the area to cover. Not all motor drives are going to be mated the same. Alright, so I haven't published out any dimensions how to make this. I've just basically custom built this by roughly measuring up what I need to do and made it that way. Alright, every motor drive system is going to be way different, and Skywatcher, being with their quality control on their products, is not very good, to be honest with you. And I just made that housing, and I must admit, it will protect and it will strengthen that printed circuit board that's holding the RG11 connection. Don't get me wrong, the connections are good. They do connect up to the handset. The actual motor drive itself did track exceptionally well. One key factor is, as I mentioned from my manual guiding video, again please check that out, I did state that this motor drive will only perform as good if your pole alignment is spot on. The more accurate you get your pole alignment, the better performance this dual axis motor drive can perform. This is the key element. Once that is pole aligned, you can get 5 minutes, 10 minutes exposure. And like I say, when I got that Pleiades on 10 minutes exposure time is very, very impressive indeed with a normal dual axis motor drive system. That is unheard of. To get 10 minutes exposure time and to get Pleiades, despite I had bad sky conditions, I didn't get perfect sky conditions. It's a real shame. Yes, it was whitewashed, but at least my stars will actually pinpoint. The ST4 lead for the auto guider worked exceptionally well with the system as well, and that was unbelievable. I'm assuming this will work with a normal guide cam and use it by PhD guiding as well. It'll be the same sort of process. You know, you still need to connect it to an ST4 lead onto the handset and power it up that way. Obviously the USB cable connected to the guide camera will be then connected to the computer and then running PhD guiding that way. So I'm guessing it will work really well with that. So really is an awesome budget accessory. There are a few things that could be improved. As you notice, I have enclosed it into a cover, and this cover, I must admit, is there to protect the handset to stop moisture from getting in. As you take a close, as you're aware of these slide-on connections there, I wish that the hand control could be made just a tad better than this. Something that's a bit more waterproof, make it so that obviously with the slide-on couplings like that on the slide-on switches, water and moisture can actually get inside there. So that's why I use this simple pencil case from Amazon. It costs a few pounds to buy and it fits perfectly. Alright, I have bigger, but this case is more than ample. Protect your hand controller from dust and obviously moisture. Obviously you don't want moisture to get in that handset, or as it will get into the electronics and it will start bugging up the functionality. Don't get me wrong, the handset is very easy to operate. At first I was just getting used to the controls, because usually I use most of the time my mobile phone, using Wi-Fi, using the SceneScan app. I have used handsets before, but this one does take a bit of time to get used to, particularly with making sure that you get your speeds right in accordance of what object you want to image, all right, or use it to observe, all right. And also, like, I wish that Skywatcher just put down with these buttons here. They could just label it like deck and RA. That will make it a tad easy as well, so you know which direction it goes. But apart from that, the connections are good. It's all simplified. It's very lightweight, and it performs really well. The images, I must admit, to get the Orion Nebula with the Sun Guider, you'll notice in the image there is slight star drift, and the reasons for that is I actually found out the main culprit was indeed the RA axis motor drive. So as you can see, the cover was catching on the RA axis motor drive, and as you see, I've basically used a Dremel to just carefully sand off a little bit of that cover, and there's a gap now. So that's what was happening. It was catching on this cover onto the clutch plate, which is here. All right. Now the other thing is, I'm going to remove the slow motion controls. Okay, loosen that to pop out the slow motion controls, and if I just, and as you can see, we loosen the clutch wheel, and as you can see, you've only got that little bit hedge, this thin hedge here, right? This thin hedge is only acting against that gear surface. Now as you can see here, I've installed a fibre washer. As you can see here, there's the fibre washer. It's got an inside diameter of 12mm, which fits into the back of that gear wheel, and it's got an outside diameter of 19mm. Alright, it's around about 1 to 1.5mm thick washer. Alright, it costs pennies to buy, and what I've just done is just roughen it up with a bit of sandpaper, just to roughen up the washer to give a bit of a friction, and that just sits in there. Now bear in mind, there's another friction washer at the back of this gear, but it's only one. So with this extra washer, this helps to increase the friction, and as I tighten up the clutch, it gives a little bit of a double acting locking. Alright, so it'll prevent that RA axis from loosening, and that was the problem with my Orion Nebula. So over time it will be tracking, and even tracking at 10 minutes exposure time. Eventually, as this gear wheel rotates, this will actually work loose eventually, and because of that, as soon as it starts slipping, my auto guider was starting to struggle to guide the mount, and that was, I did have slight star drifting on the RE axis, and it's a real shame because my Orion Nebula on the Canon 600D was absolutely awesome for that type of exposure time as well. So it's a real shame, and this is a quick fix you can do, alright, and it works really well, and it clamps a lot better now. So that's one way you can do it. The other way, you could use a rubber washer. That will probably work as well. I will provide product links below in the description, for this fibrous washer, right? This fibre washer, but it clamps really well. It clamps a lot better now. So obviously I don't have another night to test it out again, because obviously now I've been clouded out for quite some time, so I'm unable to see if this is improved. However, looking at the result now, this clamps a lot better than it was initially. So it's a simple fix. Try it out. I'm hoping it works better, but I've already proven that the mount can track for 10 minutes exposure time, which is more than ample. So it's a quick little fix. Try it out. It really is good. Alright, so that is one way you can help to improve the performance of your enhanced motor drive. I don't know why Skywatcher have done that. I think they should have done a better design clutch system than that, because I'm sure that would have caused a lot of problems for a lot of people. Yes, it's a basic motor drive kit, but at least provide decent clutches. That would have been a lot better. But that simple fix should work out for you. Try it out. If the fibre washer doesn't work out, then try a rubber washer. Maybe that work. I don't like using the multi-spline lock washers, the metal ones, because they could mark or damage the face of that gear. So I would use something that's softer material. Yes, it will wear out eventually, so you can just replace them anyway. Alright, and it just acts like, you know, a double clamping system, okay, better grip, and it should help and prevent that slippage, which is the main problem really I had. Everything else, don't get me wrong, you know, operating this handset, getting used to manoeuvre the telescope, adjusting the clutches, making sure every time you lock the clutch or loosen the clutch, switch off the motor drive so you don't damage the actual motor drive motor itself. Alright, so switch it off. As long as you keep doing that, you'll be fine. So they are the key problems. The housing and that clutch keep slipping on the RA axis. It was only the RA axis. But apart from that, as long as you get that polar scope bang on and your pole alignment is spot on, you'd be very surprised how good that motor drive really performs. And for circa £149 for something like this, if you can't afford a motor drive or a go-to motor drive for a EQ mount, then this is your next best thing. To put it this way, these normal motor drive systems, I actually enjoyed using it because there was no need for a computer. I had no hassle with dealing with software. I could find things, the only thing, you know, I could find things that I need to find to image or to observe. It was a joy to use. I actually enjoyed it more. There was nothing relying on a computer, dealing with software updates, drivers. This only required 6 volts battery or a lithium battery, and just plug it in, switch it on. Once you've got, well, switch it off first. Once you find something, lock the clutches, activate the handset, and then use whatever functionality you're going to use for tracking. That is it. It was so simple. Yes, I did get confused with trying to image Jupiter as it drifted out. Now I know to use the star function when you're tracking planets. The other is tracking the moon, and then the sun is another speed. So star or looking at planets, use the star function. But everything else, I did like the ease of use. Plus the low battery consumption. 6 volts is nothing. And at 400 milliamps to power up this thing, my 20 amps per hour battery will run this thing probably quite a few days. It really is such a joy to use, and I just love it. I actually love it, and I do like to, and I've just proven that you can astro image long exposure with this setup, and 10 minutes exposure time is pretty something. Yes, it was only a single exposure of Pleiades, but apart from that, I did get some really good tracking, and even when I'm using the 662 planetary camera, and I managed to do a long exposure of Orion Nebula, and even with that small chip sensor, it still remained in that sensor for quite some time. I did hardly get any drift at all. So yeah, I was using lower exposure times, but to be honest with you, even with a small size sensor like that, I still got Andromeda Galaxy, and I managed to capture 40 frames through that Orion. Yes, it's not the best Orion, but again, the 662MC camera is really dedicated for planetary use. You can use it for deep sky, but again, like I said before when I was doing the imaging session, it did appear soft and it wasn't as nice. Not compared to a Canon 600D, which was absolutely stunning. Alright, so long exposure, I would say 10 minutes exposure time is long enough. I don't think, even with the auto guiding and using Sim Guider, I don't think it's accurate enough to exceed further. I think 10 minutes is probably the limit of this basic dual drive system. Alright, so it does have limitations, and 10 minutes exposure time is, I think, is more than ample, particularly if you're auto guiding. And like I said, the images were good. They're not spectacular, but again, I had limited sky conditions, and it's the way it is. But apart from a few glitches on the motor drive, you can make it better, and it is really good for the money. It really is. I would suggest, I would advise to get something to protect the handset, to protect it, and make yourself one of these covers as well to protect that deck motor connection. I don't know why Skywatcher have done that. It mind boggles me how they just cheap out on certain things, and you think, hang on a minute, is that really acceptable? With that surround, it's protected it, it's given it a bit more strength as well. I had no dramas with that little cover, alright, and it really is, the thing is, I can't give you sizes. You just have to measure it up yourself, because not all motor drives are the same. Apparently they're made differently from each of the models, so I don't know why that is. I don't know what the EQ32 motor drive system's like, but I can tell you now that the EQ5 mount drive system is really good. I do like how they use the brass gears, alright, no plastic gears on this setup, and which is a plus, alright. It's definitely much better to use brass gears, alright, that's for sure. The other thing is just make sure that your motor drive, the gears are in line with each other, and again, loosen the motor drive Allen screws or the clutch wheel, alright, and just line them up. Again, when you fit them onto there, you might have to move them along, but make sure they're not off a bit. They need to be aligned, alright, to provide you some good tracking, alright, it's very crucial. Plus, there's no requirement to grease up those gears because they are rotating at such a slow speed. I don't think you need to add a bit of grease to lubricate those gears, alright, there's no requirement, to be honest with you. And to be honest with you, if you put some form of grease in there, it might actually might be like more of a risk of attracting dirt and dust on there, alright, and that's the trouble with grease. It does attract a lot of muck in the air and stuff like that, so you don't want these gears to be gummed up. The other thing is you don't want to risk getting grease, particularly on the clutch gear surface as well, because if you get that, you will get slippage as well. So that is something to be careful of. So I wouldn't advise putting any sort of form of grease on there. But apart from that, I did like the motor drive. The price is good. I do like how the instructions are well constructed. Alright, they are very easy to understand. Yes, it does take time to get used to this system, but once you're used to this analog system, it's like, wow, I am not relying on a computer. And so I hope you find this video useful. And again, I know it's outdated. It is an outdated product, right? There's a lot of these. They're not going to last forever. They're all going to get phased out eventually. I would recommend this motor drive. I'll give it 4 stars. I was going to give it a bit more, but because of the certain stupid aspects of that deck motor being exposed with that printed circuit board on that socket exposed, I think that's really cheaping out. They should have put a double acting clutch system to make it so it grips better. That could have been improved a bit as well. The cables are good, they're long enough. I think they're okay. Yeah, you can always buy these RJ11 clips or connections, make longer ones. That's what I like about this motor drive system. You can buy aftermarket cables to make it longer. Alright, I do like a lot of good things about it, and like I say, it performed exceptionally well, but it only performs as good if your pole alignment is spot on. So yeah, you might need to make sure that your polar scope is aligned, or you can use Pole Master, which you can connect onto your mount, and that will help give you some more accurate pole alignment. But this motor drive is nothing without that pole alignment, and that's what I'm trying to get. So there's a lot of people have a lot of frustrations having to operate this device. It's not the best, but the thing is, this is a conventional handset. Once you get everything running right, it's absolutely fantastic for the money. It really is. I did enjoy using it, and again, I tested it out on a variety of objects. It's a real shame that my images weren't so great. To be honest with you, even the planets were a bit disappointing, but again, I didn't have good skies. That's the way it is. This is astronomy. You're not going to get a perfect night from every night to night, alright? It's just one of those days where you'll get cloud haze, you get windy conditions, sea conditions, light pollution. Every night varies. And again, it's a real shame that my planet images weren't that great, because they would have been awesome through the ST102 refractor. So I wrote this 4 stars, despite a few bits I wasn't really happy about it, and that's why I knocked it to 4 stars. It is old technology, it is basic, but what the hell, if you can't afford a go-to motor drive, then the next best thing is, I would highly recommend something like this. And it's the only one with the auto guiding system, so you can use a sim guider or next guide with a guide scope, and you can get some long astrophotography. It really is a good piece of kit for the money. From that, I hope you like this video. Please give a thumbs up and also hype this video. I'm sure there's not many videos out there. I think there is one which is a Portuguese channel that highlights this in detail. I think that's the only video I could find, but there's not many video reviews based on this item. Yes, they are going to be phased out eventually, because obviously the EQ5 and the EQ32 are now being obsolete. But that doesn't mean to say just because things are obsolete, things are, old equipment are no longer useful. Believe it or not, as long as you look after the equipment, these mounts can last a lifetime. And the good thing about these conventional mounts is that at least one thing, you can strip them apart, service them, grease them up, put them back together, using basic tools and basic knowledge. And again, please use my videos, the EQ5 Super Tune and the NEQ6 Super Tune video. Please use those as a guide. I do highlight it in a lot of detail, but it shows that conventional mounts like these last a long time, and if they're looked after, you can get some awesome results. It really is. Just because something's old, it's not useful. It's not useless. All right, and that's what I tried to say to you guys and girls and everyone. Old equipment is good. I hope you like this video, guys and girls and everyone. Please use this video as a guide, and if you're considering buying one of these, please do give it a try. It is, I will say, it's sort of a hit and miss, this motor drive, and it will depend on how well your polar alignment is. If your pole alignment is spot on, this will work out for you really well. Alright, but it really does depend how well your pole alignment is. So it is a hit and miss sort of product, but I've worked it out, tested it out, and realised it is good for astrophotography, fantastic for visual use as well, and I would highly recommend this product. So again, if you like this video, please, please hit the like button. And please hype this video out, because there is not many videos out there that does a review on this. So please don't forget to hype this video. Please don't forget to share this video. And if you're new to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notifications bell, scroll up, click all, and by clicking all, I will obviously when my next video is coming out, I will let you guys and girls know, and everyone else, when my next videos are coming out. So please don't forget to hit the bell. So thanks again, thanks for watching, and I wish you all clear skies.